Thank you. It's great to be here. It's been an amazing event so far, and really inspiring to hear some of the earlier speakers. We're running a little bit late on some of the time, so I'm actually going to shorten some of my remarks. What I was going to talk about today is how marketers are taking advantage of the unique audience and context on professional networks to really drive results. And I think a lot of the themes that you've already been hearing today from some of the other speakers are going to be prevalent in what I'm going to say. So hopefully it'll serve to connect some of the dots. But what I really want to make sure we have time for and don't have to rush through are some examples and case studies of how marketers are doing this really successfully today. So I'm going to shorten up some of the earlier slides so that we have time for all of that. And so if I personally took away one theme from this morning and this afternoon so far, it's the importance of relevance. And relevance is all about reaching the right person with the right message, but also increasingly in the right context. Consumers are engaging with and interacting with brands now in so many different ways and so ubiquitously across different channels. It's really important to understand the environment that we're talking to them in, and to tailor the way that we speak to them. It can be the same content, but we need to position content and communications to the target customer and the context that that person's in. And we heard that from Brian and from Chuck this morning. And yeah, I think I had this slide in here, but after seeing what 2016 is going to look like, I think this will actually look simple in a few years. But one of the things that's driving this is just the explosion of opportunities and ways for marketers to be engaging with customers online. And as a result, consumers are now consuming and processing more information than ever before. And that's what's driving the need for us as marketers to be increasingly relevant and make sure that we give them just the right information that they need to drive that next action, that next step that we were hearing about this morning. And so when I think about how we do that, it really comes down to understanding the audience and the environment they're in. And then the part for you is, how do you tailor your message? How do you create that experience that you want your customers to have or your audience to have within those platforms? And so let me talk a little bit about the LinkedIn audience and how you can engage with them and what they're doing on our platform. And when we think about our members and our audience, it really all starts with the profile. This is the first thing that people do when they establish and join LinkedIn. And as Olivier mentioned earlier today, it's really about identity and controlling our brand reputation. And this is so important for professionals because we know that people are going to research us when we meet with them, and it's going to help us be successful in our jobs, that we put out very authentic, rich, and real information. And so this is at the core of data-driven marketing on LinkedIn, the ability to take advantage of this unique, rich, authentic data set of professionals in very targeted ways around things like someone's role, their seniority, their educational experience, their interests and affiliations. And as Olivier mentioned, we have 175 million members on LinkedIn globally, and about 30 million now, actually, just recently in Asia, with 3 million in Australia. And this is the most affluent, influential population online. In Australia, we have over 70,000 C-level executives and vice presidents. So as a B2B marketer, it's not just these very senior people that are important, but also all of our members. Some of our research shows that about 75% of our Australian members are involved in influencing or directly deciding on purchase decisions for their companies. So as a B2B marketer, this is the audience that controls the purse strings at their company. But professionals are consumers too, and this audience has tremendous buying power. They're affluent and they're educated. So over 80% of our Australian membership has a university degree or higher. And the median income is $150,000 in Australia. ComScore in the US has a buying power index. And the US and Australian demographics are actually quite similar. And in the US, the LinkedIn audience has twice the average buying power of the online consumer. So for B2C marketers, this is a really valuable audience as well, because these people have a lot of spending power. And the question I get a lot is, well, what are they doing while they're on LinkedIn? And we heard a little bit about this morning, but One of the most, beyond identity, one of the next things that people are doing is around getting professional insights and news and information to be great at what they do. And they're doing this through their news feeds, through understanding the information that their peers and colleagues are sharing with them, through things like LinkedIn Today and groups that we've been hearing about. And increasingly, it's happening on their phones, tablets, everywhere. The other thing that people are doing is they're researching people in companies. And people search from really the beginning of LinkedIn has been one of the core use cases. Whether that's looking at the people you're going to be meeting with later in the day to understand what you have in common, prospecting for new business, trying to find the skill sets you need on the project you're working on. But increasingly, it's expanding beyond people to researching companies and vendors to make better informed decisions. So that brings us to the second step in creating relevance, which is really about understanding the environment. And we heard a little bit about this morning from Jonathan at TNS about the different contexts and the different mindsets that people are in on different platforms. And mindset, and it's all about building substantive, meaningful relationships with your customers and your prospects. And that is very hard to do if the environment around you isn't conducive to it. And so the mindset of purposefully investing in ourselves is really one of the things that creates such relevance and such an environment that's conducive to marketers establishing these relationships on LinkedIn. And this context is what drives ad effectiveness. And actually, so this is an example from the UK. The people behind the anti-smoking movement have done research where they found that that when ads were shown to youth in pubs while they were out drinking with their friends, they were completely ineffective. But when those same ads were shown to people in their homes when they were viewing TV with their family and friends, they were highly effective. So it was the same people and the same message. The only difference was the context. So what does all this have to do with LinkedIn? And it's really about having an environment that makes it possible for you to build meaningful long-term relationships with your customers. And it's that purposefully investing in themselves is the reason why our audience and our members are open to allowing you as marketers to engage them and provide them the kind of insights and information that helps them to make better decisions. Now let me take you through 3 examples of how marketers are doing this very successfully on LinkedIn. The first is Cathay Pacific. So about a year ago, Cathay completely overhauled their business class cabins. And they came to us because they really wanted to promote this to US business travelers who come to Asia frequently. And their goal was first to raise awareness, but also to really generate word of mouth and recommendation behind this. So the first challenge we had was, this is a very specific audience of people to find. We needed to find business class travelers from the US to Asia, which is a pretty specific audience. So the way we did this using our targeting was we started with looking at functional roles and industries that people worked in to identify the types of jobs that require people to travel regularly. Then we worked with them to overlay some seniority targeting to find the kinds of people who'd be more likely to travel in business class when they do that. So this helped us to get at a group of people that were high business travelers and tend to fly business class, but we still needed to find the ones who wanted to come to Asia regularly. And the way we were able to do that was we actually looked at their group affiliations to see who was participating in groups around doing business in Asia, like the China Network Group. And we also looked to see which members had a large number of connections in the region, because that was probably a pretty good sign that they come here regularly and do business. And so we were able to overlay the demographic targeting with some of the interest and group information to get to a very relevant audience. We worked with them actually to do some primary research on this to make sure that we were hitting the right people. And it turned out that 70% of the people they reached with this campaign were planning to take a trip to Asia in the next 12 months. And most of them actually travel in business class either some or all of the time. So they were able to very, very specifically target the right people. And then the key was that they engaged them not just with brand messaging, which they did do, but they also used polls and social ads to create a really engaging experience. And they generated over 1,300 responses to their polls around, what do business travelers care about when they're on international trips, and what makes for a great flight experience and things like that. And they actually generated hundreds of recommendations. As of right now, they have 675, or more than 675 recommendations And they're really powerful because they come from the exact target audience that they're marketing to. So on LinkedIn, these aren't anonymous recommendations. You can see the background of the person recommending, and that's what makes them so powerful and so relevant. The second example, which we heard a little bit about earlier, was the Citi Women's Group. So for Citi, professional women is one of their core target audiences. And they came to us because they felt LinkedIn was the right place to engage this group and create a community and a resource center for women to network with each other to be more successful in their careers. And they felt like if they were to create that kind of environment, a lot of good things would accrue to their brand through that association. And so they really don't do much direct brand marketing or product marketing in the group. It's very much a resource to the members. And they worked with us to set this community up. It struck a really deep chord and tapped into a lot of emotions. The conversations happening in this group are incredible. There are discussions around how to find mentors, how to raise money if you're a woman entrepreneur. As we saw earlier, actually, some of the group members have started forming offline meetups in person in different cities across the US. And so far, this group launched in April. They already have over 50,000 group members. It's growing every day. There's hundreds of comments and discussions happening in this group. But probably even more importantly, Citi's actually drawing tremendous insights around the topics that this audience cares about and what things are resonating and what are the concerns that are top of mind, that they're feeding into their content roadmap and their PR strategy so that they can continue to be more relevant in all of their communications, not just within the group, but in all of their marketing to this segment. So those are a couple examples of how brands are doing this on LinkedIn. I really like this example because this is a great way for how Ameriprise has extended the engagement off the platform. So Ameriprise is a US company that does financial advising services, and this is a relationship-based business. So about 3/4 of all of their new client acquisition comes through referrals. And they really wanted to tap into the power of relationships on LinkedIn, but they knew that the right context to do it is when someone's in the process of looking up an advisor. So through our APIs, they actually built into their own websites an option so that now when you're looking for an advisor in your area, you can choose whether or not to see if you have any connections to that person. And this has created tremendous value for their customers and prospective customers to help them make faster, better decisions by surfacing up these power of relationships. And so I think in a world where there's going to be these amazing advances in technology that continue to bombard us with new and different forms of information, the key is really about understanding your audience and the environment they're in and figuring out how you create that engaging experience for them and bring real relevant information to your customers that help them make faster, better decisions. And hopefully I've been able to share a little bit of information with you today that gives you some insight into who our audience is and what they're doing on the platform and how you too can engage this amazing audience. Thank you.